Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of With Love Soleil, and the topic for today is non-attachment. So this is actually coming in as a request from Goro, who asked me specifically about anxious attachment to another person. Given that I'm not an expert on attachment styles, I'm going to scale this back a little bit just to attachment in general, because I do think that is a really important topic. And hopefully that will give all of us some understanding of our own attachment styles and how we relate to other people. So attachment is actually one of the main pillars of meditation. And I believe that's because the journey of the self, through the self, and to the self ultimately is aimed at arriving you at a place where you're totally sovereign. You have full agency over your life and over your experience, and you have sort of a true non-attachment, a true surrender to what life brings in, what life remains with you, and what life carries out. And so this is where attachment comes in. And, I say all of this and that all sounds very lovely. And the truth is we're still very much human, right? And so, of course, being human, even animals, even dogs, there's plenty of dogs out here with insecure attachment to their owners. So this is not even, exclusive to the humans, that of course we get attached to things. We enjoy the things we enjoy and we want them around and they feed our experience. And so naturally we want more of that. And so there's a desire there that is created over time, even things we're comfortable with, right? We're used to doing something or having someone or whatever it is. And so we become very comfortable with it being a part of our reality. And if it's suddenly not there, there's like a spaciousness there, right? That wasn't there before. And so all of the things that exist in our reality, oftentimes in some way or another, we create a little bit of attachment to them. I think one of the reasons non-attachment is such a major pillar of the meditation practice is because in order to arrive at true sovereignty, it's where you allow life to exist completely in every capacity as it does. You allow things to come in and you allow the things to go, and you hold no preference to, or you're not gripping whatever life is bringing or taking. And instead, you're simply in that full sense of faith and surrender to your path. I would argue that the true master is the one who simply allows. You're not resisting or going against what life is bringing in. You're not resisting or going against yourself. You're not trying to hold on to something that's maybe at least shifting gears or trying to maybe tread out of your life. You just trust your life. You trust your path. You trust your divine assignment. You trust your connection with God to know that what is for you will remain. In fact, I put a post the other day that I think went over some people's head because they missed the mark on what I was trying to say. But the post said something along the lines of, how do you know if something is for you? And I said, it will remain even when you let go. And I think a lot of people thought when I said, even when you let go, they meant like when you let go of it, like when you like maybe exit out of your reality or whatever. What I meant is simply just to let go, like just to allow, and you don't have to hold on to it. You're not clinging to it. You're not anxiously attached to it, right? There's no like, it's almost like an indifference, but you have to tread there, right? Because there's humanity to be had in your connection to things. So to be truly indifferent is like almost as if you don't connect deeply. So it's not to deny the fact that there's a deep connection possible, but it's to allow it to remain without having to hold on to it so tightly. I think that's where we get in our own way so much of the time, is that we decide in our minds how something should go or how something should look or how something should exist in our life. And then when it doesn't go or look or exist in that way, then suddenly we're in an uproar because our mind has decided if it doesn't go that way, then we failed, right? I just talked about this on the last video. And it's not a failure if it's just actually took the place that it needed to take in your life, and maybe it didn't even last that long because it wasn't meant to last that long. And so when you relieve yourself from what your mind thinks something needs to be, you surrender some of that attachment. Now, again, this is not to say like, don't connect deeply. But I think that's the nuance there, is like still connect deeply with the understanding that maybe something is not meant to remain forever, right? Forever is such a tricky term because your connection to something and its connection to you, and even more so its ability to bring more of you forward, will live forever in some capacity in your experience, because it's fragment expanded, it's opened you in some capacity that maybe you weren't open to yourself before. So its lesson, its teaching, its love lives in some way in your vibrational experience forever. That is like the true forever. Now, does that person or does that experience or situation or whatever it is exist in your reality forever? Maybe not. But that in no way, shape, or form takes away from the power or the truth, the beauty that it brought to your reality. So the work is to absorb that so much as you possibly can in the moment that it exists in your space, in your reality, with the understanding that maybe it's not here forever. And the understanding that maybe it's not here forever for some will like make people push things away, because it's like, oh, I know you might leave. Then suddenly there's this distance, right? And on the reverse of that, and to me, maybe a way to do it that healthy is to say, I know this might not exist forever, so let me love you like so fully right now. In fact, that's really how I try to move in my relationships and in all of the ways, is like showing up so fully, taking all the lessons, all the gold, all the diamonds, all the magic from a connection, with the understanding that maybe this isn't going to live in my life forever. So I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest right now. I'm going to love this person completely all the way through right now, because I don't want to come later and think, I should have loved them more. I should have loved them better. I should have loved them differently. But instead, I was afraid that it was going to end. So the fear kept me from allowing the full circuitry of our connection to exist. So attachment then to anything, and, anxious attachment, insecure attachment, all of these things are saying that in some way, your experience desires or requires this person or this thing to exist for you to feel good. So it's very nuanced, right? That's why I really encourage you to look this up yourself if you are interested in attachment styles, because each one is different. And then the reason why each one exists is different, and all of these things. So I'm giving a very kind of generalization of all of this, obviously. The work is to ask yourself, what does this person bring me that when they're not here, I feel a lack of? That's a really deep question, a really powerful question for attachment, because what you will find is the answer to that question will guide you towards what your spirit is asking you to develop more of within yourself. Because what has happened is, instead of you saying, this person makes me feel at peace, this person makes me feel secure in myself, and when they're gone, I don't feel at peace and I don't feel secure in myself. Instead of that being like, amazing, so now I know where I have work to do, is to cultivate a sense of security and a sense of peace within myself. Instead, we hinge our security and peace on the other person. And suddenly, if they're not around or they're away, we're lacking that. So what they've actually done, and probably a part of your soul contract with this person, is that they have come in to show you where you're lacking. And so then what we do as humans is say, cool, I'm going to satisfy that lack, that void with this person, instead of, oh, okay, so that means I need to fill myself up with these aspects of me that are missing. This person is helping me see that I haven't cultivated within my experience yet, so that I can be an even fuller person with or without this other person, right? Because ideally, obviously, we don't require anything outside of ourselves to be a fully actualized, fully realized, sovereign human being. And that's the whole path, right? You might not get there overnight, and there's so many arrows and pathways to take us on that road. It's the journey of life. Literally, the whole spiritual journey is about actualizing and revealing yourself, so that you don't require anything beyond yourself in some capacity. And so that when you leave this earth plane, you've sort of actualized your spirit, your beingness, you realize your life to the fullest capacity. So you kind of played your role, so to speak. But that's the whole path, right? So be gentle with yourself on this. As I'm talking, maybe there are things you're kind of attached to. And this goes beyond people, right? Of course, like, people is one thing, substances absolutely are another. Whether you drink or smoke weed or whatever else it is that you might kind of grab for as like a chiller outer, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever way that we make things okay in our mind. And on some level, it's all about your relationship to it, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at is, if you have a glass of wine a week, like whatever, do your thing. If you smoke a joint a week or, more, even whatever, like do your thing, but you have to notice, can you go without it? That's for anything, right? For the person, for the substance, for whatever, even whatever, like, routines say that we've built into our lives or other dynamics of our reality, that it's to constantly challenge yourself to be able to go without it. Because ultimately, again, even with the substances, even with smoking weed and you feel chill and it makes you feel good, can you cultivate and create that experience for yourself without the substance? You have a glass of wine because it warms you up and you feel nice and you're a little bit looser. Can you offer yourself that same experience without the glass of wine, right? Like ideally, everything in our reality is here to help us realize more of ourselves. So we learn through the experience of other people, of other things, of other situations, what's possible. I call this, and I just said this term earlier, a fragment expansion. It's expanded a fragment of ourselves that maybe we didn't realize either was not there or was asking to be born, or was there, but we hadn't really kind of brought it forward yet. So you have this person, you love them so much, they love you, maybe you're in a relationship and you love them because in their experience and in your love, you feel more yourself. You feel safe, you feel understood, you feel seen, you feel heard, like you feel all of these great things that, yes, like absorb it all in the relationship. And maybe you will marry this person. Maybe it will last for time. And that's amazing and beautiful if it does. And it's also amazing and beautiful if it doesn't. Because if it doesn't, then what they've offered you is the opportunity for you to remember, being seen and feeling understood and all of these various things that they brought you, for you to cultivate that within yourself, so that over time, you don't need it from anybody else. And that's the ultimate, right? And again, I don't want you to put pressure or judge yourself if you're not there. I'm certainly still working on it on myself. It's hard, right? Like, especially in relationships, when you love someone and you've spent like a lot of time with someone and you're going separate ways, it is not just an easy, like, okay, I learned the lessons. Awesome. I'm going to now just find this within myself. Like, it would be great. It would be awesome. Except that the tragedy of love, like the hardship of love, the difficulty of separation, is a huge part of the teaching just as well, right? Like all of it is teaching you. And so when you can sit in life from that perspective, then instead of clenching and hanging on to something being a certain way, you allow it to shift and change so that its teachings can shift and change. Love transforms constantly, just as we do. Anything that is in our vibrational vicinity is going to transform with us as we transform. So your relationships will absolutely have to. Love will absolutely have to. How you love other people, how you love yourself, all will have to change and transform. So you clinging to something as it is only preventing you from your own evolution. So we allow things to grow and change and evolve as we grow, change, and evolve. We let life bring in the things that we need at the time to learn the lessons that they're here to offer us. And then maybe instead of it being a romantic relationship that it seemed like it was at first, then maybe you're going to be friends, or if not even friends, maybe they just weren't meant to stay in your life in a close capacity forever. And it doesn't have to be like such a bang out, fiery ending. You don't have to hate the person because life was like this, they got to go, they can't remain in this capacity, or at least they can't remain in the capacity that your mind has decided they're supposed to be in. So this is about attachment. And as I talk about this again, I encourage you to sort of sit with, and maybe you can do a meditation on what you're attached to, and to return to the original question about anxious attachment specifically. I know it's not fun, but this is the shadow work. This is what we do on the path, in self-mastery, on the spiritual path. We sit in the discomfort. It's not the fun part of it. And I get it. And trust me, it's like you want to get up, you want to crawl out of your skin. You literally want to do anything but sit in that discomfort. You're a fish out of water in that moment. But it's so rich with lessons, so rich with teachings for you, that you have to get over avoiding discomfort. You have to get over it. If you really want to master yourself and reveal and actualize yourself, you have to befriend discomfort. So you sit in the experience, you start to feel that anxious attachment, you like missing for them. Maybe you want to grab your phone and reach out to them or create communication with them or whatever it is. Don't do it. Put the phone away and sit in the experience. You can ask yourself those deep questions. What am I missing? What am I anxious about? Well, what if they find someone else? Okay, great answer, because then it helps you see that maybe there's an insecurity here for you, right? That you're insecure that if they're out doing their thing, they're going to meet someone else and they're not going to love you anymore and they're going to leave you. Maybe there's an abandonment issue here, right? Like there's so many jewels and gems when you sit in the discomfort and are willing to truthfully look at yourself and answer these kinds of questions, because then you can start to repair the things that keep you in that state of anxiety. So if it's the abandonment thing, okay, I'm afraid they're going to abandon me. Okay, well, where does that come from? Did a parent abandon you? Did friends abandon you? Is that a theme for your life in some capacity? Okay, if it is, then what does that mean to you? Well, what, you reverse engineer it back to the core of why you feel the way that you do. And then you can start to unravel that, right? It's like a timeline born from the core. Maybe a parent abandoned you, and then suddenly the rest of your life, you're kind of in this anxious state of like, people are going to abandon you. Of course, that's how that goes. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. But it is up to you to relieve yourself of the anxiety by finding the core issue and then letting go of, finding the healing around why that tendency has continued throughout your life. So attachment is a big one. It's a major one. I mean, it's like so big, because when you let go of attachment, as not easy as it is, it's such a beautiful teacher to learn yourself better. Because instead of getting attached to something, you ask yourself, what is it here for me? What am I looking for in this other person or in this other thing that I can't provide to myself? And that answer will give you so much room to build more of who you are. Things in our life, they come and they go, and that's just the reality of it. And I say this often, what's yours will remain. And if you can lean into that, it's like having full trust in your life and having full trust in God. God's not going to take something out of your life that was supposed to stay. Your life is not going to remove something that just to be a dick, right? Like that's not how that goes. It's that your vibrational energy, your vibrational level is a match or it's not. And as you evolve vibrationally, as you develop yourself spiritually, you're going to volumize vibrationally and energetically, which means a lot of things are no longer going to be a match, because the fullness of your experience, and anything that can't like meet your frequency is like not going to vibe quite as much anymore. So a lot of things shedding is like such a major part of this work and this path. So much shedding, so much letting go, so much surrender, feeling like almost like there will be nothing left. And in a way, there's freedom there, because when there's nothing left, it's you and God, and that's it. And that's all you need. And once you've arrived there, then you're free, right? You're like fully free from the requirements of what your mind thinks that it needs. And then you can just allow life to bring you what you actually need and serve you with the experiences and the people and the opportunities for you to develop and reveal and master who you are and what you're here to do without requiring much more than you. And so give yourself the time. I'm going to say that again, because it's not easy. And it takes all these sitting in the discomfortable moments of understanding why we move how we move, why we feel how we feel, asking ourselves the right questions, and then with the answer, filling up more of who we are. That's the pathway towards letting go of attachment, letting go of anxious attachment, insecure attachment, whatever attachment style you have, even avoidant attachment, right? It's kind of the opposite. Like you avoid deep connection, or you avoid getting too attached, maybe again, because you were too attached to someone or something and they left, or whatever it is, right? We all have reasons why we do what we do. And so the anxious attachment, the insecure attachment, the avoidant attachment is all a symptom to the actual problem, which is something probably deeper than your attachment style. So we want to look back at, try to figure out what the problem is and heal. Set yourself free. Healing is absolute fundamental freedom, because you're not in these loops and cycles anymore. You're not calling in the people who are trying to teach you the lesson about abandonment, right? You don't want to learn those lessons anymore. You don't have to when you do the work in real time. So this is what I'm going to say about attachment. I hope that helps you a little bit, Kuro, with your question or your experience. And anybody else, please let me know how you feel about this and ask any questions, or leave any feedback in the comments as always. And please do like the video if it helped you in some way. Again, my name is Soleil. It's always an honor to be in the space with you guys. Look forward to Seeing you again next time.